Welcome to the Post Sports Chat. I'm Rubenstein here with Owens, and we're getting ready to make our sixth and final road trip of the season, this time to Lawrence, Kansas. Same can't be said for a lot of WVU defenders. It seems like this has been quite an odd season just in the amount of injuries that have piled up, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, just this past week they suffered two more season-ending injuries to linebacker Jared Barber and safety KJ Dillon. That brings a total of 8 season-ending injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and it's definitely starting to impact what the defense can do. Barber was tied for the team lead in tackles with 71. KJ Dillon's a versatile guy who could kind of play that nickel spot for you, play up against the run, play back in coverage too. I mean, really versatile and kind of let them do a lot of different things. I think they've been able to kind of move guys around and mask where they've had those shortcomings in recent weeks, but I think these two guys in particular really are going to cause some problems, at least in terms of personnel and finding the right matchups this week.
That was one thing I was going to ask. Are they having to play a lot of guys out of position, or is Keith Patterson's scheme designed in such a way that they're able to put them in different type of situations and not really have their heads spinning too much?
Well, I think they've really been able to kind of keep guys where they're relatively comfortable. I mean, guys have had to play out of position, and they're going to continue to have to do it. But one of the things Patterson has talked about was kind of finding the right fits for guys and not really asking anyone to do any more than they really can do. I don't think they're doing anything to expose the defense, but it is guys having to come in and adjust to more playing time and more significant roles. Particularly this week, you're looking at guys like Jawan Snow coming back. Tyler Anderson he's a guy who's played in the past and obviously played significantly in the past, but hasn't lately, and both of those guys are really need to step up and help the linebacking core this weekend against Kansas.
And how does that factor in when you consider WVU is playing a Kansas offense that statistically has struggled this season, but it sounds like they like to change things up, they like to try to confuse opponents, and when you factor Kansas' style versus WVU trying to fill in so many holes, how do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, I think no matter what happens on WVU's defense, Kansas is still a pretty bad offense. If you look, they rank at or near the bottom in the Big 12 in every major statistical category. They are really struggling this year. But one of the things WVU's defenders said at this week's round of interviews was commenting on how Kansas does try to change things up, and it's not just making minor tweaks here and there. They make wholesale changes on a week-to-week basis and really try to do things differently to expose any advantage they can get. I think that comes because they're struggling so much offensively, but you have to wonder if that's also part of the reason they are struggling so much offensively. When you look at WVU's offense, one thing that Dana Holgorsen and Shannon Dawson always talk about is repetitions. You need to do it over and over and over again to have success. Kansas isn't getting that. Every week, if they're doing something different, it doesn't really give their guys time to get comfortable, and I think you have to wonder if that might at least play a little bit into the reason that they can't get anything going this year.
One of the reasons for WVU's struggles offensively is the quarterback situation, a most topic that we discuss every week. We're in the 10th week of the season, or the 11th, I guess, going into the 11th game of the season here, and we're still talking about quarterbacks. Clint Trickett suffered a concussion in the first half against Texas. What's his status like? Do you expect to see Paul Millard on Saturday, or do you think it'll be Trickett?
I would expect it to be Trickett from the way Dana was talking this week. He said it sounds like Trickett was feeling better on Monday and Tuesday. Even if he's not able to practice, that's more the 5-day progression. They have to kind of ease him back in. Wednesday, full contact practice, and by Thursday can be cleared to play. But I think they have every intention of bringing Trickett back and putting him in. That said, I don't really think what Paul did last week was all that negative. I know a lot of people got down on him. I wrote a column about it. A lot of people got down for his ball security, and that's definitely something they do need to improve. Ball security issues came because the offensive line couldn't protect him. When Millard had time, he was pretty effective throwing the ball, did a good job. Both interceptions he threw last week were at least partially somebody else's fault with a tipped pass and receivers running the wrong routes in overtime. So if Trickett isn't able to go, which I do expect him to be, I think at least Millard is a pretty serviceable option.
And it seems like with Paul too, when he got into a rhythm, when he got comfortable in the game situation, he started to play better. I mean, a couple of his turnovers were early in the game, still trying to figure things out, and also just hadn't played at that level at a very consistent basis, for several weeks during the season. So it seems like, he's a guy, just probably like a lot of quarterbacks, the more he's in there, the more comfortable he's going to be, the more plays he's going to make.
Absolutely. And one of the things you and I had talked about before was with Millard showing that kind of improvement. Obviously, he hasn't really played since the second week of the season, but if Trickett has a head injury, why really rush the guy back? You can't call it a lost season at this point. They do still have a lot to play for. They want to get these 2 wins and get to a bowl game, but you really want to risk Clint Trickett, risk his head for the sake of getting out there, getting a win, putting him in jeopardy for that, when you know you have a guy like Millard who can at least go in and keep you in contention.
You mentioned the bowl game and that they're still playing for a bowl game. They've made one every year since 2002. WVU does have to win out to make a bowl game. I'm just curious what you think the Mountaineers' mindset is at this point, where they're going to be going into a Kansas environment that I don't think anybody's expecting it to be hostile. Probably not going to be very many fans in the stands, and they're playing a bad team. So when you factor everything into the equation here, where do you think WVU's mind is?
Timing is everything for WVU. They're needing 2 wins to close out the season, and fortunately for them, they have the 2 biggest dogs in the Big 12 on their schedule. They've got Kansas this week, and then they've got a struggling Iowa State team in the last game of the regular season. So I think they're really optimistic. They think they can go out and do it. They have a lot of confidence that they can go out and do it. They felt, as disappointed as they were in the result, they felt like they played their best game against Texas. So I think these guys, they know the situation, they understand what they have to do, they're confident they can go out and get that job done.
All right, very good. Appreciate it, Ed. Please continue to check theedpost.com for the latest on the Mountaineers. Thanks for watching today.